Hey, Don. Can't hear you. Oh, you're muted.
Better?
Better. Yeah. I was trying to look up that Chicago, that O'Hare Marriott, where the
Okay.
Chicago is. I think I'll call down there if you guys haven't, just to see if there's electricity to the booths, things like
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. I don't want to go home.
I didn't see anything noted anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, Matt.
Hello, Wendy. Hello, everybody. Hey, morning.
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 How you doing, Joe?
Good, you?
Not too bad. We're below 100 degrees. We'll take it.
Oh, there it is. It let me do it. Good morning, everyone. I was trying to unmute myself. It said the host wouldn't let me unmute. Host.
Uh-oh. Still waiting for consolidated guys. Oh, here he is. Okay. Hey, Paul. Paul and Paul. Joel.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
You used to have like half a dozen Johns here. Now we just got a couple, but just got the good ones.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Is this everyone?
Is this everyone?
It's pretty close.
I know Corey's running behind. on another meeting, so he might be joining at some point, but we don't need to wait for him.
Leith will be jumping on, but it'll be just a couple minutes.
Okay, okay,
Wendy,
So-
why don't you take us off? Yeah,
all right.
I don't know
so-
if we had an agenda.
No, we're just going over the site plans before the July 5th meeting and some of the things that came up with the engineering for clearing out everything. So that's kind of where we wanted to start. Maybe, Paul, do you want to share the site plan? And Alvin, you're in charge of screen shares.
It's good to go.
Okay.
If you're talking Paul Mentine, I know he's traveling. I can,
Oh. So,
I could probably, I don't know, Joel or somebody on your team, otherwise I have it open. I can just show the PDF. I just,
and Joel, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Paul Vervoort, why don't you bring up the option one?
Hey, Tim.
Did we lose Paul?
No, Paul, can you?
yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh,
Okay, good.
Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so just some real quick, a quick overview of this site. Obviously some things that occurred on the original, and it's good seeing City Kakana again. Hello, guys. Originally, the site plan was very much related to lining up with Dottie Street. And early on, very early on in the process, we also wanted an entrance off of Wisconsin, but that really was hard to do without the bank property. And when Jim was looking at it, the bank property wasn't really in the mix. Since the new team took over, as you all know, the hotel went away, and we are looking to try to fit 2 apartment buildings on the property. The apartment buildings, the way we're designing them right now, this hasn't been necessarily finalized, but we're trying to make them exactly the same. So the option here, what we did is we made the long wing a little shorter and the short wing a little longer because it just fits on the site better. Both units, I think both apartment buildings right now are roughly 90 units. So right now this development would be roughly 180 units. With this option, we're showing 234 parking stalls, which comes out to be about 1.3 parking stalls per unit. In the original design, we had more underground / first floor parking, but only 30, I think we had 34 outdoor spaces that were directly connected to the apartment. So the total parking stalls for the original development was about 1.28 parking stalls per unit. That was kind of in place for the original apartment. So right now we're a little bit above that. We've tried to maximize this as well as possible. When we move things around with the apartments and trying to make it fit on the site with getting as much parking as we could, we kind of had to move one of the stairwells to the end of the building, which cuts out some of the underground parking. But like I said, as far as the total parking stalls per unit, we're a little bit above what we were. Plus, we have 2 accesses to the site. One off of Wisconsin, one off of Law, which doesn't line up with Dottie. To fit 2 apartments on here, it's impossible to make that work, especially without getting the corner parcel. So I don't know if there's anything, a couple other things to point out with this initial layout is we plan to use some green space where the existing bank is. For the talk was for dog area, stuff like that, which we really didn't have very much green space at all before. Which we think will really be nice. And we also are planning to possibly do something.
Are you guys still there?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Joel. All I clicked is that it's live stream and he's gone, so I don't know. I didn't know there's an option just to wake people
Not
up.
me.
I thought it froze for a second. You guys are all really still.
Are you intentionally live streaming this?
I'm not, no,
It says on our end that it's live streamed on Facebook right now.
Oh, we lost Alvin too.
I don't know here. I don't even have, meeting is now live stream on Facebook. I don't even know. We don't even access the Facebook on our computers. So I don't even know how to stop that. I could stop share once, hold on.
It still says live streaming.
Can you click that?
Yeah, I clicked it. All right. Nope, Alvin's back. Okay. For some reason, it flipped over. Okay.
Am I back as well? Sorry about that.
Yeah, we don't.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to share again.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
Thanks for admitting that, Alvin. They were looking at me like, what the heck did you do?
No, it was me.
All right, I'm gonna try it again.
I think we talked about where the bank property was, would becoming green space.
Yep.
And then a little bit to the north of the south building. That would also be a nice green space that we talked about. Could be used for a number of different things. We're not far enough along yet to know exactly what that would be used for. But we're really happy with having a little bit more space. So I guess hopefully as an overview that gives a good summary. I don't know if Don or Paul or Wendy, you want to add anything else to that?
I don't have anything else.
No, I think that's good, Joel.
I just wonder from the city standpoint of your thoughts on where we're going right now.
Sure. No, I thank you for getting this together. I think it helped fix a lot of our concerns. John, question for you. I know that driveway to the top will be in an easement. Is that an issue, or is it just they need to know we might need to come in and dig it up at one point?
Yeah, putting paved surface over an easement isn't the end of the world, but putting a driveway at that location probably is. That's gonna be 1% chance of getting that passed. That's just too busy of an intersection. Is by quick trip driveway, another intersection, another 100 feet away, and then a busy street. That's just not a good location for a driveway at that point. With not taking away from the green space, but looking at this new plan for the first time, possibly your green space on, I'll call it the eastern corner there by the pond could be a second driveway. Also not a great location, but also not a heavily traveled road with more truck traffic coming around there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I know we had discussions about this, but doesn't the gas station have access off of Dottie?
Off of Law, they do. They have
Yeah.
3
Or off a
entrances.
law, I mean,
They have 1 on Lawn, then 2 on Catherine.
They do, and they were required to line that up with Sarah Street, so we had a 4-way intersection basically at that point.
so that entrance isn't directly adjacent to ours?
No, people might use that, but that is not their entrance, and nor is it part of their site plan to enter at that spot.
Okay,
I think it's just leftover remnant from when it was a car dealership. There was an entrance there, and now it's gravel, and then that gravel kind of bumps up close to their parking lot. Yeah, I think where Paul drew that arrow would be the other spot if you were looking for a second exit out of that site.
Joel, what are the challenges to coming out in that spot?
Vision, it's nice, you got 2 ponds there, so there's a little bit of an area you'd be able to see through. It's quite a hill coming down that area, so the vision isn't the greatest. Then you got truck traffic, logging traffic, basically using that street for the most part, along with school rush hour time, but other than that, it's not a heavily traveled road. It's definitely not 4 lanes by 3 adjoining intersections, so that would be much preferred to the one on Law Street.
What if we went with a wider, call it a 3-lane exit out of, just one exit out of the property, but have a turn lane?
Like a right turn only, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, so you have a right and a left out, or, I mean, and one in, just making this a bigger entrance.
But then we'd lose a bunch of parking spaces, and that's a down ramp going under the building the way it is, so that might get tricky. We were trying to figure it out because we were thinking for fire trucks that they typically want an in and out access, is what we were trying to do.
Do you guys need that entrance off the law? Is it something we could say that it's not one they use all the time, it's just for emergency vehicles?
yeah, I don't think there's any need at all for that for us. But it could be like just a smaller road that maybe even could be, we just did it in a subdivision where we kind of had a gravel area with grass over it.
Sure.
Where in an emergency, the fire department would know it was there. It could be an option.
Could that be? Yeah, you could do that, just what you're talking about having either permeable pavers or something like that, where you got grass growing through it, or just a gravel base underneath that they know is there. I think a lot of that site is got gravel under it right now, and it looks like it's all grass. So you certainly make it grow, like you said, and just have it as emergency exit only, and not pave it as a driveway. I wouldn't have any issue with that. Green space too. Yeah, that's another spot of green space there too, so that's nice.
I think that works, because that's in my impression, that's what you guys are trying to do, right? You're trying to get those two entrances. It's not that you guys need more traffic circulation, right? It's just you were worried about the fire entrance.
Correct. Yeah, it just, we know with the weave of the parking spots, it's not easy to get a fire truck in and around and trying to dead end them. That's what we were trying not to do.
Yeah, no, I know, speaking with fire, they said they prefer 2 entrances as well, so. Are you guys okay with that plan if you guys just put some sort of semi-hardscape stuff there instead of an actual exit entrance?
Yeah, we could just call it pedestrian and emergency traffic only.
Sure.
But could they, if it was truly emergency, couldn't we just make access to the Quick Trip parking lot? And not have all the cost of this gravel / grassy knoll, you know what I mean? Because they could exit to the Quick Trip.
Yeah, you have to get permission from them.
I was gonna say, you probably need a cross easement, but that shouldn't be that hard for an emergency situation.
I mean, instead of spending all this money here, if we can just get through there, then it could be a matter of how we shift things.
Yeah, the only problem with that, Paul, is it would limit, I mean, just from quick, and maybe Quick Trip would be fine with it, but you would need kind of a permanent emergency access easement,
Maybe you have to paint it so it's striped or something so cars don't park there.
or which would limit, in my mind, what they can do on their property, but I don't know what the city thinks about that, if the city's willing to talk to Quick Trip about that.
So there is a car wash there we were talking about, so I think I had a site brought up.
Maybe Joe, if you can
Yeah.
pop up like a Google Earth picture on our. We'll try to pop up a Google Earth picture of the site with the gas station and the car wash there. Which one's the connector?
Oh, you got the screen, can you bring that up?
Or I think Paul.
Are you saying there's already a curb cut on their side of it that was an existing one?
I don't think there's any curb along that edge. I think it's just flat pavement. It runs into the gravel along your property.
Okay,
So I mean, I agree, Paul, it makes total sense that you would just come in off that property in an emergency, but you definitely need some type of an agreement and easement, probably a permanent easement from Quick Trip.
Yeah, let me see if I can, how I do this here.
There you go. Oh, it's not, yeah.
So there is a drive-through.
Oh,
I
that's
guess-
what I was looking for. Thank you. I'm looking at Google Earth right now and trying to see exactly the dimensions of both lots together. So thanks for pulling that up.
Yes, I mean, if, again, emergency is emergency, right? So if there's a way that we can put something that would only be used, you know, wherever that would run into this spot.
Yeah, those are pretty wide drive aisles right there.
Just to
Yeah,
not spend money on something that hopefully never gets used and could be confusion and, you know.
And I don't think Quick Trip probably can't build any closer to the property line either, so.
No.
No,
Can I ask a question? Is that detention pond part of Quick Trips or does it belong with the lot?
That'll serve our property too, Alvin.
It will.
Yeah,
So if I'm drawing a boundary line around this, can somebody trace that out and kind of show me a little bit?
There's two detention ponds. The second one's not shown on there. So
Right
that
here.
one's for Quick Trip, but then there's a second one that's for your guys' property.
Sorry, I don't know what I did. We gotta have somebody with more skills running this than me.
I'm just glad you're running it, because I have less skills, I think, Paul.
Thanks. I don't know, it just disappeared on me. I was trying to just kind of move my cursor for Alvin, say, you know, I mean, where that other pond is.
But if you can, that other plan is shown on the site plan too, Paul, that you had up at first.
Yeah, if you just,
The one that we're gonna be using is right up in the corner there.
That's
so
this
there's another-
one.
the pond that you were seeing, Alvin, is just, yeah, right over there. Yep.
Correct.
I don't know, it just seems like it would make a lot of sense if we could do something here. You know, to line,
Because to tell you the truth, that would allow us to get a few more parking stalls too.
well, could we even shift maybe a little bit this way?
I don't know the dimensions, but the utility easement there is 15 feet off the property line.
Yeah, going here. Either
Yeah.
way, I think,
It would definitely allow us, right now, I think we're about 30 feet off,
Okay,
which would give us some leeway to, against this existing property, this north property that, or the
Sure.
this southwest property corner.
is there any balconies on the apartments on Law?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And we would make sure the building's located in a spot where those are not hanging over the property line.
so do you guys want to reach out to Quick Trip or do you want us to talk to them? I don't know if we have a contact over there. I know the state inspects their stuff all the time. So they probably-
Alvin and Don, what would be your preference?
If the city has a relationship with them, that would probably be easier than us just cold calling somebody that they don't know who we are. And I think
I can try to find a contact. I don't know if we necessarily have a relationship, but I mean, I can start the conversation if you guys want.
If you could do that and give us a contact, we can pick it up and work that out.
Okay.
Is there a possibility of you having a shared detention with them?
Alvin, we already have the detention pond here that the city put in that's serving our site.
Oh, it's already there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I think we could look, if it was a conversation with Quick Trip, really, this is an access for 180 families to get to Quick Trip.
It is. That's what
Well,
that is.
however we decorate or, I mean, make
Exactly.
this an area, a walkway / emergency access, I mean, so it looks like more of a walking path, so people aren't
Yeah.
driving through.
Yeah.
However that would be, I think it would be a nice selling point to get, people through their bike path / walking.
Yeah, that's very true.
If that's the ask, that's really easy. Yeah, we could do that.
because that would be a spot where we could put those pavers with grass on them so that it's solid, but not a driveway, so to speak. But
And maybe just an actual paved area or concrete area that's a walking through it, so people can bike and walk, but trucks can go across it if needed.
yeah,
And looking at Google Earth, it looks like that lines up really well already with their existing drive lane, and they have a fire lane on that side of the building there already, so already an emergency vehicle area.
Do you guys mind sending this to me?
Yeah, we definitely will.
Okay.
We just wanted to kind of, before we sent it off and had a chance to talk about it, we just wanted to be able to talk about it first, but we'll send it to anyone. I think Wendy, you have all the emails. I think we
Yes.
can
Yep.
Send it to everyone.
And then did you guys have an environmental update at all? I thought I heard there was anything on that end or?
That's our next topic.
Okay.
So this site plan is heavily dependent or 100% dependent on acquiring that other property. I assume that's moving somewhere. Okay, that you don't have to share anything with me, but obviously we can't approve any site plan that doesn't include that property based on what I'm
Right,
seeing.
we just sent an LOI to the bank.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll get some traction on that this week.
yeah, because we really have to have all three of these pieces of property put into one piece of property in order to move this fill around to use even the clean fill by crossing properties.
Right, sure.
So do you want-
So maybe that's a good time to jump in with Matt or the discussion on the cleanup.
Yeah, so, and I don't have the overlay yet where it is, but we're discussing, we found last year or so, there's some contamination in place on the eastern parcel, and then we're considering that western parcel pretty much, it's a closed environmental site, meaning there's they got it to the point where it's remediated enough that the DNR closed it, but there's still contamination in place. So on that end of the parcel by law, it's we're going to consider pretty much the soil contaminated and treated appropriately. On the eastern one by Catherine, we're pretty much going to try a dig and dump where we found the limits of the contamination on that property. We defined it. So we're gonna basically excavate that area and get it out, but then the rest of the property is fine. environmentally speaking, so we can beneficially reuse that stuff if applicable, if geotechnically passes too. And then that site should be clean as well. So that's kind of the pathway moving forward a little bit on this. Just, I guess, to simplify it, and you will get some overlays going of our plan. From my end, we're probably going to make a materials management plan on how to handle all this. That gives kind of oversight to how to construct and how to interact if we found something, where to take it, things of that nature. We're also going to want a vapor mitigation system in place. And that was a topic of discussion a couple days ago as well, especially with the underground parking. So we may put one in beneath the garages, but there might be an active one going on anyway. I think it's probably a good discussion piece too to have. If we want to put it in regardless, it's really not too expensive in the grand scheme of things to stick one in the sub base, a passive system, just to be sure in case, you know, the active system in the subgrade garages goes out or something. It would also take out any radon issues as well. So that's something for discussion too before I make the vapor mitigation system plans. That's kind of where we're at environmentally right now, but I am in the process of making the materials management plan that should be available in the next couple of weeks or so.
And as you know, in city, and Matt can explain this too, any stuff we do keep on site, almost the whole site is paved, so it will be covered with pavement. And in any of the areas where we do have green space, I think we're required to have 18 inches of clean fill, which will make sure that's taken care of as well. Because there is a lot of clean material on that southeast portion of the property.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, Joel. And yeah, and now on the screen, you can see by that Catherine's that pink kind of area that we outlined is pretty much the limits of where our remedial excavation would be. That'd be an active remedial excavation just to get that out of there. The rest of that parcel, based on our data, is clean to be used. So, you know, moving forward then, even where I think we can maybe even save some coin is with that parcel and the apartments on that side of things, that probably won't need, you know, that it won't be required to cap that. And we can just, we won't have to dig out anything more. But on that other parcel, the other pin by Law Street, that's where, to Joel's point, we will need probably that cap in place. But I'm going to check, because that site might not have been closed with a cap. And if it's not, then there will be no cap requirements on that end either, which again will save in the grand scheme of things if we don't have to dig out, you know, 2 feet in the green spaces, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then kind of plans moving forward, I guess what I'm hearing is you're putting together, you said that materials management plan in about 2 weeks. So I'm assuming we can't probably excavate anything until you have that materials management plan together.
We can always, you know, if we wanted to do that remedial excavation, we could. The materials management plan is more of, goes into the construction phase of this entire property. And what we do at Fairgram is kind of take us out of it. So, you know, on these contaminated properties, we don't, you can have us there without us being there. It's kind of a liability umbrella where we don't need a personnel there overseeing this entire thing. This materials management plan will cover everybody. And then, you know, it's going to kind of help the contractors, you know, take things where needed things have to go, whether that be the landfill or where it can be moved or not moved. What happens if, you know, on here, a hoist is hit or some unknown contamination or hydraulic fluid or a tank and what to do, kind of thing. So that's where that materials management plan takes us, is more of the overall during construction. For the remedial excavation, we could probably do that at any point. That won't, we don't need the materials management plan for that.
So, and I guess that kind of leads into my follow-up question. I know we're kind of stuck in maybe a chicken and egg situation right now, but ideally, from your guys' perspective, I mean, what does timeline for construction look like? If everything kind of lined up perfectly, what do you guys see that timeline for construction looking like?
We're trying to get foundations in ahead of freeze up to keep
Okay.
the construction site going, but that's where, we gotta get through the bank property. We gotta get this surveyed back onto one piece of property. And where it's a big step for us is if the city approves the 2 buildings as a site plan based on those other things going forward.
Sure. So if I guess if I'm listening to everything right, I mean, goal is to get foundation in before things freeze. Sounds like we'll still need CSM and things of that nature. I just want to make sure, I know that we kind of had a more a quicker pace going on this, and I think with the advent of this like second building, I think even a few of us kind of thought it was a little aggressive timeline, but as long as you guys know that, I mean, I guess I'm just I think things are slowing down, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. It's not as quick as maybe we thought before. Am I kind of correct in my thinking there?
Well, it's still, I mean, when we had one building, we were trying to get it going.
Yep.
It doesn't do us any good to slow it down, because once you open a loan, you're paying interest.
Sure.
So, but it's, where we gotta watch is we have a property line running right alongside this dig site where we gotta be careful not to put any fill over that line until we can get these things looped into one piece of property.
Okay.
And, then some of this is like, if we're gonna start digging sewer and water in and we know we can do 2 buildings, we're gonna put T's in and bring that stuff where it needs to be once, not create easements crossing something and digging it and then digging it back up to add into it. So that's where it's kind of like we need we need to eliminate variables. And so right now, is the city comfortable with 2 buildings? And with that layout, that's variable 1. Then the bank agrees to a number and we can get that purchased. That eliminates variable 2, because it's obvious to get people on site. Everything we can do to do 2 buildings is going to be better than just keep remobilizing to do 1 and then come back and do another.
Yeah.
Just
No, I agree.
build time.
I guess I'll tell from my perspective, I don't mind that. I don't mind things going slower than I anticipated if we're getting this additional building. I know that my opinion maybe isn't shared by everybody on council, and I've obviously said anything that you guys can do to kind of show that you guys are working on the site is good for us. I'll try to get a few of these things crossed off our list and eliminate variables, as you said. But one thing, can you guys please mow the lawn? I know that that's come up a couple of times. And then number 2, if you guys can get any sort of movement on environmental, I don't want to have you guys pay multiple mobilization costs, but if you guys can move forward on some of that stuff, that would be beneficial as well. But I think from my perspective, I like this development and I want to try to push it forward.
Yep. And we are reaching out to excavators to get somebody to come in and start that, and I don't want to put the idea in anybody's head that when we talk to somebody tomorrow, they're going to be out there, but we'll keep you informed as when we get a contract signed with somebody and what their anticipated dates are. So you'll be kept in the loop the same as us.
Sure.
What's the next step with the city as far as getting the concept site plan approved, so that we can move forward with putting, final civil plans together?
So I'm gonna think I'll have conversations with a few of the city staff afterwards, and just kind of look at our where we want to go with this. I know, so I mean, it depends on your guys' comfort level. I know that this site plan could go to plan commission and it would pass because it's meeting all of our ordinances, but I think you guys had the additional, and I talked a little bit with Wendy, it's more does the council like this idea and are they gonna support TIF dollars is probably more the question. And that's really that conversation at council. So I would say it's probably more a need to have the council give their blessing at this point than plan commission, because plan commission will have to sign off on a new site plan for that second site, but I don't see any big hindrances there.
Yep, we obviously want to work with what the city wants, and I know there was some anxiety over the last year of nothing happening, and we're trying to do everything we can and fit what we can on the site. So
You're doing that, yeah. Okay.
Hey, Joe, I have a question for you. Would the city be willing to combine both parcels into one CSM?
Yeah, I don't see why we would. I mean, it would have to go through a plan commission meeting, but I don't see why we couldn't combine all of them.
I mean, you guys could do that probably more expediently than we could.
Do we want to do that, Tim, though, before we know the bank, or do we want to get it?
Well, no, I meant once the bank is
Yeah.
that's all done, but yeah, correct.
And we wouldn't be able to, I don't know if we can't do it on our own right now because we don't own any of this property. It would have to come from you guys.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, you could if you paid for it. That's why I was asking. I didn't know if you guys have somebody online to do that. McMahon or Dable or somebody, I don't know. Yep.
Yeah, we don't have a surveyor on staff. We would have to go through a third party like you guys would.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim, we would probably use, if you remember, we created a CSM to separate the parcels.
Yeah, I remember that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying now we'd have to combine them again and record it.
Yeah, yeah. So I was thinking about that as we were discussing, that's something we can talk about with the team,
Right.
we could probably get that CSM put together and just not have it recorded until the property changes hand. So it's
we've done that in the past.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay, you guys have any questions?
No, I don't.
does the city have any more questions for us, or any ideas or feedback?
I don't think I have anything. It doesn't sound like the group has anything.
This is the mayor. I guess this is a question maybe for Wendy. Do you have any idea with your LOI to the Bank of Kaukauna? Did they give you a time frame or anything, or?
I gave them a time frame, but I haven't heard back from TJ. So I think our time frame was signing the LOI by the 10th and trying to close by July 31st with one possible extension of 30 days if needed.
Okay.
Let us know when he gets back to you on what his
Yeah,
response is.
I'm going to try to call him here this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And make sure to be nice to him.
Okay.
Is there a problem when we're talking about egress off streets, having two entrances off Wisconsin for the underground parking and the driveway?
I think last we talked, it wasn't ideal. But I mean, if we had to make a concession there, we could. Is that your guys' preferred entrance there, or was it off of that driveway?
No, it's definitely off of Wisconsin, both. We have to get up. If you think about it, we have to, elevation wise, we have to come up from 682 to roughly 694-ish up at the top of the drive. So if we try keep that drive down to be able to get down into the basement or to the underground parking, it would pretty much make that entrance impossible. So it really works much better to have that drive into the underground parking directly off Wisconsin.
Okay.
Because that is, you know, that's down at 680, kind of is the middle of our drive there. If we were at 680, I mean, even if we were at 685, you know, as we're going up the hill, we don't have enough room to make that work there.
Sure.
Just trying to bring up everything so that nobody sees something later and gets excited.
Sure.
So that sounds like a broken record, but could that be moved over next to the pond to get the driveway separation?
Could that be moved over where?
Next to the stormwater pond off of Catherine Street, where we're talking about a possible surface driveway.
Well, you got a retaining wall that goes all the way to the end
Not
there.
like right next to the pond there, you come in and wrap into the site. Right, something to that effect, or even into the side of the building there.
Be a lot of extra drive, I guess, compared to, you know, a 20-foot drive coming off the other one.
But you'd have the same issue there, Joel, where we would have to enter the building at, you know, say 683 or 682, and then we got to jump up 12 feet by the time we hit that parking lot.
Well, I don't think they're talking about connecting to the parking lot there then, correct?
Correct, underground, so you could separate the surface from the underground.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
so all we would do is just keep that separated.
Gotcha.
So you probably could make it work. I mean, I know that retaining wall, and I don't know what that looks like as far as being able to see down the street there.
Can you get rid of the
But
possible one email that on there so we can see that?
can you move that over a little bit, Paul, so we can, yeah, that's, sorry, I'm in the way.
Yeah, so neither one is ideal, neither one is a perfect situation, but see if that is an option maybe.
Yeah, I mean, storage of that pond is probably up to that 685 contour roughly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that a
I would just
large,
look at it.
it looks like there's a large electrical pole or something there with guy wires as well.
That I don't know offhand, I see a transformer on there.
Right here. I mean, just up, yeah, right up there. You see the guy wires come down. Yep.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pole on the property line there.
I guess just look at it and see if it works. You know,
Either way, you must have a retaining wall at the other driveway to make that work. You might need a retaining wall to make the pond work. So I don't know if there's any trade-off there, if there's anything other than separating the two driveways that's an advantage to this one.
That would require us to move that stair again, Paul, but
Would it help any if it was just one wide entrance onto Wisconsin?
No, probably not. What you got is cross traffic. So if you've got somebody pulling out of the underground, making a right-hand turn to go up the hill, and you've got somebody trying to turn left into the site, you got a conflict point there all the time, and then same thing, going swapping, doing the other thing. So it's not so much mainstream traffic problem, but accessing that driveway is just going to be a little tricky. You have to pay a lot more attention to what's going on there, and you and I and everybody knows that people don't do that anymore, so. I don't want it to be a problem in the future.
Yeah, if you guys can just look into it and just maybe get back to us on what the viability of either of those options are, we can. I think we're, obviously this situation isn't ideal, but if it's the way it needs to be, it's kind of what it is. But if there's a better option, we can certainly move forward with that instead.
Okay,
Well, would there be a possibility if the drive came closer to this side of the property? I know parking,
Yeah.
at least then your distance is farther if your road was.
The only thing is can a fire truck make those turns?
True, because you're gonna have to come around at some point because of our other ramp.
I was looking at that just the other day, like, could we? I mean, what that does is it separates the drives a little bit. I don't know if it solves the situation, but
There might be a strip of property up there, Paul, that we don't.
yeah,
own.
there is. There's a flag strip right here that the corner property owns,
Yeah,
up at the top of that bank property.
that corner
Yeah.
property, like a hatchet.
Yep.
Gotcha.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Don, we'll kind of run through that and see what looks good.
Yep.
Don, on that corner, is that the lady that wouldn't sell?
Yep.
Here.
That chunk right there. Yep.
What's the history with that? She doesn't like the city or something? What?
No, I don't think it's that she dislikes us. She's just kind of a bulldog and she wants what she wants.
Okay. I knew there was some story behind it, but I just,
They wanted to put a scooters there and it doesn't work for our code. And then, so essentially we denied the scooters for a couple of reasons. It doesn't work for the code, and then the traffic along that corner, she wanted double entrances off of Law and then Wisconsin. So she's still holding out hope she can get a scooters there, but she doesn't want to sell otherwise. Scooters is a coffee shop. I don't know.
okay.
It doesn't sound like- No, Nebraska. South-ish. More south of us.
I didn't know what it was until Joe started working here. So.
The only other thing on a site plan, we're looking at a preliminary one, so it's a little different than this the other day, but the fire department had some concerns about making the turns in and out of those parking lots adjacent to the building, so eliminating those islands and probably a couple parking stalls to make sure that they got turning radiuses to go into the lots that are immediately inside the L.
Yeah, and we'll clearly show that they're able to make those turns.
I think it looks like right there, that one's wider than the original one. And then the northern one that coming south access is definitely cut more steep than it was before. And those are pretty wide. So I mean, if you guys can just put turn radiuses on there, we can definitely take a look then.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the middle that we would make to the city. We would clearly show all of
Sure.
that.
Thank you.
Well, I think I have the game plan. I'll be in touch with you guys. Is there anything you guys wanted for us before we signed out?
Nope, I think we're good.
No, I don't think so. We really
Yeah.
appreciate the time today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
You know, they say prior planning prevents not good performance. So thank you guys for helping us.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Talk to you soon.
Later. Yeah.